Oh man, I just got a notification that Rip Taylor passed away. That's sad.
Oh man,
that is sad.
Isn't that the guy that threw confetti at rock concerts?
Yeah, he threw all the confetti. Well, anyways, on that bright note, let's kick it off again. Okay, so yeah, you guys, we'll jump in here. You managed to make it out of the water, relatively unscathed, with the exception of Sir Edmund, who seems to be paralyzed by some sort of neurotoxin, as you've concluded. You've managed to make it back up onto shore, onto this small island, and you saw an Imperial fleet vehicle be carried off back to the giant tree that is emanating from the center of the island. And when I say giant tree, I don't mean giant in like the actual scale on the map, because it's much larger than that. This tree is so large that it is where this family of rock makes their nest. It is truly gargantuan. And as you are sitting below the shade of the palm trees above you on the outskirts of this jungle forest line, Locke, you look up and you see a Triton woman, and she drops from the branch and says, "Well, boy, you don't look so well." And that is where we'll pick up.
Do we know what a Triton is?
It's a good question. Everybody roll knowledge nature for me.
I'm pretty good at nature. I'm a nature boy.
Shit.
Kalt's
You're
pretty
Ric Flair?
crunchy.
I got a 15 plus 1, 16.
I got a 9.
Can I guidance myself?
No, not at this point.
So it's a 12 plus 7, so 19.
19. Okay, so yeah, you're familiar with Tritons. You've never seen one before, but you've heard tales of them. They are considered like guardians of the deep, and they're usually known to have like a very like stoic and regal presence, pretty uppity, kind of like sea elves almost. But yeah, you recognize immediately from the scales on the neck of this young woman, and the aquamarine tint of her skin that she's Triton.
I have heard tale of these Tritons. They are a little bit like sea.
You know, I'm right here.
They're a little bit like sea elves.
I can hear you there.
Excuse me, I'm trying to talk. Just, I'm gonna like raise up my hand, like trying to talk to my best friends.
She walks over and kind of just walks past you and over to Sir Edmund, and leans down, and it just begins like picking at his wound.
Does it seem to be like good picking? Does it seem to be medicinal in nature, or is she
Roll
just
a
like
medicine check.
legit poking at his wound?
What are you doing to Sir Edmund?
Roll a medicine check, Kalt. She goes, "Come over here, child."
Roll
Okay.
4 plus 4.
To you, it looks like she's probably not doing anything beneficial, but she calls Maeve over as she starts picking at this wound. Maeve, as you approach, she says, "Look here," and she shows you there are like these little black hairs that are embedded in the wound, and she's begun picking them out from the wound, and she tells you, she like pushes him over onto his side so that both ends of the wound are exposed. She goes, "Start picking these out of the other side of his wound."
I guarantee you, lady, we poked his wound plenty.
I think I've heard enough of you for the moment, as she continues to like furiously remove these little hairs.
Can I like roll over now and be useful?
Yeah, you manage to like stumble back to your feet
Right.
after your encounter with the neurotoxin.
I'll go help her out by pulling out those things.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm gonna use Mage Hand so I don't have to use my hands.
perfect. So you two begin on the exit wound, plucking out all of these little fibers. As Kalt, you're just kind of standing there like, I don't think this is going to work.
Why, everybody's just poking his wound. We're supposed to make him better.
She then, she places her hand, after removing all of the barbs from one side, she places her hand on it and closes the wound. And then, as she helps you like finish up the other side, she places her hand down again, and you see another like bright, warm glow as she closes the wound on that side as well. Well, he's going to need help.
You've got that right.
Which one of you can carry her?
I think I should be able to carry him.
Perfect. You throw him up on your shoulder and follow close. It's going to be a bumpy journey. And she immediately, you see, she takes like a kukri, like a large knife with like a hook to it, and begins chopping through the thick vines in the jungle as you start to make your way, or as she starts to push forward into the jungle. It's up to you whether or not you want to follow her.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, she helps her
Yeah,
Edmund.
follow.
Okay. What's going to be the marching order here?
I'll probably be in the middle, I feel like. I'm nude, and I'd want to feel as protected as possible.
Okay.
I think I'd want to just try to stay next to this Triton woman.
Okay. So
I'll bring up the rear.
yeah, so you're in the back with Edmund slung over your shoulder. He's just kind of like fading in and out of consciousness and just like, oh, no, not in the petunias. And she just like, he just seems to be drifting out of memories. You push through the jungle. I'm going to have everybody roll a survival check for me.
Ah, shit.
All right, survival.
That's a 4 for me.
That'll be a nat 1 plus 1, 2.
Okay.
I got a 17 plus 4, 21.
Okay, so you all notice as this Triton woman is pushing through the jungle, she at one point grabs a branch above and like swings across a little what appears to be like just like a patch of mud, and you don't think to really take the same path. She almost seems like it's just how she moves through the jungle. But Maeve, you then step in this puddle and are immediately feel your legs sink into what is quicksand. And Kalt, you see her like pause momentarily as you like stumble forward and also find yourself falling into this quicksand.
Mr. Locke.
I seem to have stepped into something.
Mr.
Locke,
Locke.
you see them
Okay, I'm gonna like
slowly
push
sinking.
Kalt over to the side and try to pull Maeve up, I guess, with
Can I,
Okay, Maeve, I'm gonna have you
just a strength check.
Well, I'm gonna have Maeve. Maeve, can you roll an athletics check for me with advantage because Locke is aiding me. And Kalt, I'm gonna have you roll an athletics check, just flat to see.
All right.
that's
Don't
a
worry, guys, I'm really good
that is a
athletics.
12 for me.
Okay.
It's a 15 minus 1, 14.
Okay. You go to like scrape your way out of this quicksand, and the Triton woman throws a couple of lengths of like vine in your general direction also, and you guys manage to like get a hand on them and scrape your way forward. She'll be like, first time in the jungle, huh?
I can't say I've ever been in someplace like this.
I agree. This is very well my first time in such a lustrous surrounding.
Oh well, keep your wits about you and watch out for those. And you know,
I'm going to shoot her a dark look. Like, I always have my wits.
Roll intimidation for me.
All right, what's that?
Please roll poorly.
Oh, I'm
Please
definitely
roll poorly.
going to. Like, I'm not. His charisma is so bad. It is his. His intimidation is a -2. So. Oh, hey.
That's not the hey I want to hear.
Hey.
Jesus fuck.
Can I? Hey. It's a 19 minus 2, so that's a 17. That's still pretty good.
Yourself.
So you shoot her over this like piercing look, and she's like, I always have my wits about me, and she just stares like right back at you, and you can see like the Triton nature leads her eyes to almost look a little more sullen than you would expect, and it's almost like fish eyes looking back at you, and you find yourself like unsettled momentarily, like as she stares back at you. You get the impression that even though you know she appears to be a younger Triton woman, She looks like she's got some experience on her. She's got some like scars on her arms, and the way she moves through this jungle like leads you to believe that she's pretty athletic.
I guess we're just staring at each other fish-eyed.
I'd like to take the rope out of my backpack, and be like, can we? What if we all hold this and then we don't get lost?
That's a brilliant idea, child. And she takes the front end of the rope.
So wait, we're all attached to this rope like kindergartners in Washington, D.C.?
I mean, I'm just going to hold the rope. I'm not going to tie it to me. I'm just going to hold on to it.
I mean, that is how it works at D.C. as well.
Well, okay.
Oh my god, I remember those fuckers.
Yeah. Just
They had rings on the rope.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Cute to you, fucking annoying as shit to me.
I guess I'm just not annoyed by small children the same way you are, Pat.
I absolutely hate them. They're the scum of the earth.
Jesus fuck.
I kind of feel like we should edit that out, but I'll leave that to the party.
I can't make any promises.
So she continues to push onward into the jungle, and you all follow close behind her. You notice as you proceed through this jungle that there's a lot of life. Like, this jungle is dense to the point where it makes it so if you were just moving through this naturally without any sort of like assistance, you would be like encumbered. It's rough terrain, and then the plant life and the insects and like the jungle life around you is just vibrant and loud. Like, all you can hear is like constant buzzing and chirping off in the distance. You guys push through this jungle a little bit further, and everybody roll perception checks for me.
13.
Perception.
Not great. 10.
I got an 8.
Okay. As you push through the jungle, Maeve, you do notice off in the distance again that same like little crimson flicker as a bird kind of like it flies off into the distance again.
Excuse me, ma'am. What's your name again?
Oh, my name is Kaimana.
Kaimana. There's a funny looking bird around here.
You can you see a funny looking bird?
Yeah, it looked like it was glowing red.
How old are you, child?
I don't know. Like, I don't know, like maybe 10, 12, something like that. I haven't had a birthday in a long time, and I look at the ground really sad.
Oh, well, chin up. We celebrate birthdays on this island every year.
Oh, yay.
And she looks at you and she goes, that bird is good luck.
Well, okay, cool.
How does one get the good luck? Must you feast upon the bird's flesh?
No, he's probably looking out for you, and it's always good to have someone looking out for you.
Bet he probably tastes pretty good.
She like kind of shoots you another like troubled glance, but kind of shakes it off and smiles, and then continues to walk through the forest with you. We've got to be quick about this. Your friend there is going to need stabilization pretty quick.
I suppose we should continue on.
So as you continue pushing through the jungle, you get the impression that this island, even though it seems to be very large and the jungle is pretty dense, it's somewhat narrow, at least at this point. And as you push through the jungle, you can actually see another shoreline on the other side of the jungle.
Is it so dense that as I'm walking through the forest, I have to be careful not to slam Edmund's head into a tree?
Yeah, there are multiple instances of like you whip around and like a coconut falls on Edmund's head. Some little tropical birds like circle around his head as he's dizzy and unconscious. Yeah, no, it's a very precarious stroll. Let's just say that. So as you push through to the other side of this jungle, you see another shoreline, and just off in the distance, you see a little on the shoreline, a little like island village just off to the distance, and she begins to hurriedly rush over towards the village.
I guess we hurriedly follow.
Yep.
as you approach this village, you see that all of like the little huts and the little tents and stuff that you see sprouted up around the village are all made from like driftwood, and like you see pieces of ship and like clear signs that these are all being constructed from like jungle debris and ocean debris. And as you enter the village, you see that there's a pretty wide variety of like life here. You see that there are a couple of like little dwarven children kind of running around the village and playing. You see that there is a small tabaxi girl, and she has she's playing off in like a little puddle off in the distance, like a little like riptide, or not riptide, tidal pool off in the distance, and she's playing with like a little toy boat. There are a couple of like older tabaxi just off in the distance around her that are casting nets into the shallow water and clearly fishing. There are people like dwarves hauling boats. You see some turtles, a couple older and a couple of children.
Save the turtles.
And you see that there is one central kind of like wigwam style hut that is shambled together in the middle of the village here, and she escorts you over to the hut, and she pushes back like a beaded curtain, and as you enter this hut, she kind of like waves you in. You see in the middle of the hut there is like a small little cooking fire, and over it there's some alligator that's being roasted, and in the back of the hut you see a very old looking turtle. She's got like a lei on with like shark teeth braided in a necklace around her neck, and a large cap of like braided feathers and like palm leaves, and she has some markings on her shell with like little like curls and symbols and runic symbols.
Did it seem to be magic? Like any kind of magic writing on her shell?
Roll insight and arcana for me.
Insight and arcana?
Yeah. Yep.
Which one would you like me to do first?
Roll insight first.
It's a 5 for insight.
Okay, so you don't get the impression. Yeah, roll arcana too.
And then a 21 for arcana, 10 plus 11.
Okay, so you look at these symbols and they don't make much sense to you as you like initially glance at them. So you think maybe they have an arcane nature, but then you start to notice that the pattern that they lay out is more like a story and less like runes of any kind.
I like turtles.
She turns her head around slowly and looks at you and just goes, "Well, that's good to know. Would you like to have a seat?"
I would like nothing more.
And as you see that she has a couple of like turtle shell stools kind of lying around.
Kind of fucked up.
It's a little bit, but you know, can't let them go to waste, I guess.
I also want to reiterate, Kalt is still completely naked. He has not found any clothing.
I did completely forget about that. Let's say you found a piece of like the sail on the shore, and if you
didn't
want
find
to,
anything.
Okay, you just want to be
nude.
naked.
Nude at the moment.
You pedophile. Okay, no. I'm just messing with you. I mentioned there were a lot of children around. It makes me uncomfortable. Okay, so you are just kind of like covering yourself then, and
Jesus Christ!
God damn it! Just don't be weird.
Not being weird. Nakedness means nothing to Kalt.
Okay. Well, she.
Glad someone's comfortable with his body.
Yeah, she comes over and hands you like a small blanket, and she was like,
I wrap it over my neck and like wear it as a shawl.
Okay. And she, as you sit down and you're talking around this fire, she came on. You see, she kind of like hurries over to her, and she's like, "Nana, he's been poisoned." And she's like, well, what kind of poison is it? And she's like, well, I think you had an encounter with the beast. And at that name, you all kind of like twinge momentarily. And then she's like, oh, they came from the sea, I suppose. Well, I've got just the thing. And she walks over and she pulls out like a little vial of liquid, and she brings it over and puts a couple drops into Edmund's mouth, and you see some of the color return to his face. And as like the golden liquid kind of like runs down his lip there, the lip color returns, and she says, "This will stabilize him momentarily, but you're going to need to find a very specific fruit in order to cure him of his poison."
Blue flower, red thorns.
Yes, basically.
A simple fruit is enough to cure this poison.
Oh yes, it's very, very rare though.
Oh, well, I guess he's dead. Let's go, gang.
He's not dead.
What is this beast that you said? We already fought a beast. I don't want to fight another one.
We have a complicated relationship with beasts.
Well, one of them stabbed our homie.
Well, I don't know that beast is really the right word, maybe. It's more like a squid.
Oh,
yeah.
That's much less imposing than I suppose calling it the beast.
Well,
How about we get a really, really big fishing rod?
Ooh, and a big pot of fry oil.
it's a little more than one squid. It's a colony of them. I'll tell you what, this is quite a long story, but right now we're a little short on time. Why don't we talk about this tonight? But for now, I think it may be best you made haste. Kimana, you know where the fruit grows. And Kimana looks over and she goes, yes, Nana, I know. I can guide them there, but last time we lost 2 of our scouting party. And she's like, yes, I know it's dangerous, but I can tell that they're very concerned about this very great friend of theirs.
Yeah, take him or leave him depending on the day. Best friend.
She's like, well, it's up to you, I suppose, but there is a way to help him.
Do you have anything that might help a little bit? I fell out into the water and I took a lot of damage. Do you have anything that might help me a little bit? Just like to patch me up for the moment?
That is true. I think we're all bleeding somewhat profusely.
She walks over and she like gently places her turtle hands on the side of your face, and at this point, because you're so close, you can see that her shell is so heavily weathered, and her face is like very leathery, and you can just get the impression, like, even though you've never seen a turtle before, this is a very old turtle. And she kind of like just gently kisses you on the forehead, and you feel a warmth just run through your body, and you are going to be healed for... Sorry. You take 13 points of healing as she like rolls a cure wound for all intents and purposes.
I feel a little better.
Kalt is going to get kind of really low, and he's going to be like,
Could I also get a kiss on the forehead?
as like blood is draping down his naked body. He's at 7 hit points.
Got a little banged up. I'm pretty sure I'm low as well.
Oh, well, I suppose. And she walks over and kind of does the same for each of you. Kalt, you get 15 points of health back.
It's not bad.
And you, Locke, you get 12 points of health back.
Hell yeah.
Would I know if turtles have a specific language that they speak besides common?
Roll just a knowledge nature check.
Knowledge nature. Pretty dope at that, but not with that roll. That's an 11. A 4 plus 7.
You don't know offhand if they have a specific language now. However, you do get the impression that she might be of some sort of like a druidic order.
For the hell of it, I'll say thank you in Draconic. I don't know if turtles speak Draconic, but my dumb brain would think, oh, lizard, turtle is equal to lizard.
So Locke, you hear this, and you recognize the Draconic tongue real quick, but roll a percentile for me, Colt.
Wow, that's actually pretty good. That's a 96.
Yeah, so she turns back and in Draconic replies, "Oh, someone's got the gift of gab."
Oh, she replies in Draconic?
Yeah, yep. And Locke, you hear this as well. So she heals the party there real quick. And she goes, "Well, there'll be so much more time for stories later, but in the meantime, you really should make haste."
Before we leave, what is the fruit called and what does it look like?
Well, we call it the elder fruit. It's because it only grows on the oldest tree in the land, right at the heart of the island there. But it is bright orange and quite large, roughly the size of, if I remember correctly, I think they were called watermelon. They were so good. And you just see she walks over to one of the tables and she picks up like a large fruit that looks like almost like a guava, and she just begins to like bite into it with her beak. And she's like, "I remember watermelon. We used to have them every summer." And she just starts to like talk to herself as she's eating a different fruit entirely. And Kaimana,
sage wisdom.
Kaimana comes over to you and she's like, "We really ought to be going. She's known to talk for a while about things that she likes."
Okay.
Do you think she likes me?
Well, Nana really likes everybody until she doesn't.
Oh, that's good. That's great. I love turtles.
You see, Colt still has his bone face mask on as this YouTube video proceeds. That was a throwback. Anyways, so you guys exit the tent, and Kaimana goes, "Well, we're not going to be able to send you out like that, especially you." And
What
she
do you mean?
shoots daggers at you. We've got some small children here. If you wouldn't mind making yourself presentable, I'd really appreciate that.
Oh, Kalt will take off the cloak and then wrap it around his head and make himself a little more presentable. He'll dry off his head and everything. He'll wipe off all the blood and then hand back the bloody towel.
She just throws the towel back on you. She's like, "If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're dumber than you look." And she walks over to another small hut that's probably about 20 or 30 feet away from the central hut here.
She's a bit of a, I don't know, little rude, I think.
I'm gonna follow.
Yeah, if everybody
her.
else is following, Kalt would follow.
Yeah.
Question: do we still have a level of exhaustion?
You do.
Okay.
For the time being, yes. So it's up to you guys whether or not you want to proceed right away. It seems like Edmund is stable, but from what you heard, you probably want to act quick. It's up to you, though.
I think we should try to save Sir Edmund. I think we can do it. We've been through worse.
You follow her over to the small hut off to the side, and you can see it's small, but it seems relatively well made. And in comparison to the other huts, especially, this one looks a little bit nicer. And as you enter, she's in the back of the hut, and she's like, her head is in this giant chest that looks like it's something out of like Treasure Island. It's just this probably like 6 foot long and like 4 feet deep and like a few feet back chest, and she's just like digging and throwing clothes and stuff out from behind her as she's looking for something specific.
Miss, would you happen to have some incense?
Incense? I think you need a sword before you need an incense.
I'm
she
not
turns
much more of a swordsman.
She just like with 2 hands just kind of like shuttles a a sword, like a large kukri, into your arms, as well as some like banded like armor. It looks like made from like driftwood and seashells and netting.
I guess what would that be classified?
So for the purposes of this, we're just gonna treat it like it's studded leather.
And then I'm just gonna let the kukri drop. Because that means nothing.
I'll definitely grab the kukri.
Yeah. So you walk over and you.
I
grab
have
the
nothing
kukri.
as well. I am clothed at the very least.
Yeah. She's like, you're gonna need something a little bigger, and she pulls out a large trident from.
Oh hell yeah, boy!
And she puts it in your hands, and she's like, that'll do you well. And then she looks over to Maeve and she goes, well, I don't want you getting into too many scrapes, so she hands you what appears to be a blowgun with a few darts.
Okay.
So that you're all at least armed.
Do you have any extra armor?
Extra armor. Oof, that'd fit a big fella like you. Well, let me. You know what? Let's go talk to the chief. I think he'll probably be the person to tell us whether or not, or who's going to have some extra armor. And she hands Maeve. She hands you a little like what appears to be like a seashell shirt. And she hands it to you, and it seems a lot smaller. Like it was probably for some sort of like ceremonial purpose, but it does seem to be like functional armor, and you can consider it chainmail if you want to wear it.
I will not wear it, but thank you.
So she's like, well, maybe you're right. Maybe we'll stay away from the over encumbrance there. And she exits the hut again.
Real quick, you don't add your proficiency bonus to damage, right?
You do not.
Unless something tells you
Okay.
to, but in general, no.
So for technical purposes, the kukri we'll consider like a short sword. Tridents have a stat, I think.
Yeah, I looked it up already.
And the blow dart is an exotic weapon. The dart will do 1d4 damage, and then it's got a range of 30 and 60. And if you hit with it, there's a chance that you could poison an enemy depending on the dart.
You said 30-60 for the range?
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
Did there seem to be
Tridents
any,
are 2060, by the way.
Did there seem to be any shield there?
You roll a percentile for me.
Not as great as I've been. 22.
22. You don't see any shields, but you do see off in one of the corners what appears to be like a broken ship's wheel. And inspiration strikes, and you think, well, I could probably ban that as like some kind of a shield.
All right. Do I add that to my AC or?
Yeah, so I'll say you can add the full 2 points to your AC. However, there's a chance that it may not survive too much combat.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll spend a little time as we're walking and talking, engraving my old sigil.
Can I also
into the steering
attune
wheel.
myself to my trident?
Sure. So you try to put some focus on this trident, and after about 10 to 15 minutes, as you proceed through the next part of this, you don't get any sort of like a magical sense from the trident. But it's weighted pretty well, and you can tell it's been used pretty efficiently, as like the tips on it have been sharpened recently. And as you exit into this village, you again kind of get a little bit of like a sense of like calm being here, despite all of the chaos of what's just happened. Everybody seems to be like happy and pleasant, and they all seem to have like a little bit of like a chipper, upbeat sense to them.
Kalt is very suspicious.
And as you guys proceed over to another large hut there that came on and just entered, you see washing up on shore, just like a little bit off in the distance, a small little teddy bear.
Aww.
Yep. And maybe you see your teddy bear, because I'm not gonna
Oh,
take that away from a child.
we need to get Mr. Bear.
So you kind of scamper over to that little tide pool, and grab Mr. Bear out of the water, just as this like tabaxi girl is also kind of like walking in that general direction. And she, you can see she's probably maybe like 4 or 5 years old, so much younger than you are. And she like walks over, and just as you're about to pick up Mr. Bear, she grabs it at the same time.
Hello. This is mine.
But it's finders keepers.
Let's play a game. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Pick a number.
What's a number?
Ah, fuck. Okay. How about we let the adults decide who keeps the bear?
But it's finders keepers.
I know, I found it too.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, you seem nice. You can keep Mr. Bear.
What's your name?
My name?
Yeah.
My name is Lulu.
Lulu. I'll tell you what. This is a very special bear. But if we find you another one, I'll be sure to bring it to you. Is that okay?
Okay. And she, like, you can see she kind of, like, perks up a little bit. And she immediately just cuts back to her little, like, toy boat that she's been playing with. And goes... as she, like, starts to push it through the water back over towards the tide pools.
Okay, great. I'm gonna dip the fuck out.
You've successfully navigated that encounter.
I took a teddy bear from a little girl.
As you're doing this, Kalt and Locke, you follow Kaimana into the other hut there, and in the center of this hut, you see a much larger cooking fire. And roasting above it, instead of like a small little bit of alligator, you can see there are some pretty large birds. There's like a lot of food being cooked on there, a lot of things on skewers and stuff like that. And in this hut, you see a couple of different turtle gentlemen. They seem to be like the leaders of this island. And you get the impression that they're probably the only native people really here. Everybody else seems like they were probably stowaways or not stowaways, people who washed up on shore of the island.
Kalt bows.
There's a rather rotund turtle in the back of the...
fat turtle.
Yeah, he's just I'm just going to straight up copyright infringe and just say picture the Rock's character from Moana, but just make him a turtle. He's very similar to that. He's got like he's kind of like disproportionately upper body.
Dwayne the Rock Turtle.
Yeah, Dwayne the Rock Turtle.
I will fucking die for this turtle.
And
everything I like.
He's got like a braided like net, almost like kilt on. And he's got this large obsidian greatsword leaning on a table next to him. And as you enter the hut, he just lets out like a Kimana, what's going on? And you guys look over, and the rest of the crew there just all seems to let out like okay, as they all like celebrate her entering the hut. And you get a very welcoming presence from this group of people.
Kalt is still bowed.
I'm gonna just give him a nice little elbow.
So they look over to you, and he's like, what's going on with your friends there? And she just kind of looks at him. She's like, well, look, I got, you see the big scaly one over there? He's gonna need some armor. We've got to go find Elderfruit. And he's going to need some protection. Do you got anything that might fit him? And the guy that who seems to be leading this little group here looks around. He's like, I think I got something. And he starts digging through a couple piles of clothes that are discarded on the side until he pulls out what appears to be like an oyster shell. Like an empty oyster shell, but it's not like a normal size oyster. It's pretty like it's very large, and you can see they've already kind of fitted it as like almost like an impromptu breastplate. And he walks over and he hands that to you, and he's like, "Well, see if that'll fit."
Excuse me, my sire. Would you or any of your companions happen to have any incense?
Incense. Hold on. Hey, Tommy. And he looks over, and there's like a
Tommy.
there's a
What's up, my dog?
there's a turtle off in the distance. He's a lot like skinnier, and he looks like he's probably like a snapping turtle. But he's got like moss growing on the underside of him. And he's like, you've had that fungus, right? Do you still have those incense to cover up the smell? And he's like, man, you gotta just shout that out to all these people. And he's like, yeah, I got something. And he heads out of the hut. He returns shortly thereafter with like a little bundle of what appear to be like, not like incense that you're familiar with, but they're like branches and roots that when you burn them, they have the effect of incense.
Would it be an adequate amount when coupled with some charcoal to summon my familiar?
Yeah, I would say that you can probably pull that off.
I'm going to bow and continue to move outside and try and pick through some of these fires, or places of fires to get some charcoal.
Yeah, no, not too hard. You find a decent amount of charcoal just kind of like strewn about. They still use it for like filtering water and stuff like that. So
Hell yeah, Uge is gonna be here soon.
So you manage to start that little ritual. As Locke, you're in the tent with Kaimana and this turtle crew here, and they begin like strapping the breastplate to you and getting it tightened up and fitted. He's like, "Oh, you're a big fella, aren't you?"
I mean, I just got what my mama gave me.
He kind of sizes you up a little bit, and he's like, "What do you do for a living?"
That's a tough question. I'm kind of in between jobs right now.
Well, I suppose that's fair. Well, what did you do?
I worked on the docks.
Were you a fisherman?
Not really. No, I was mostly loading and unloading. A lot of ships, a lot of cargo.
This must be where that build comes from. And he slaps you on the shoulder, lets out like a little chuckle. He's like, "Well, if you're hungry, there's plenty of fish on the bobby."
The Bobby.
I am ravished, actually.
And at this point, Maeve, you enter as you pass by Kalt, who is like digging through embers outside of the hut. You enter the hut.
Yeah, that seems pretty normal.
Yeah, and it's you get the same kind of like welcoming presence. They're like, "Oh, hey, they got a kid? What?" And they all just seem like they're like just freaking out.
Hello.
Hey, you look hungry.
Yeah, but I did. Do you know anything about this elder fruit?
Elder fruit? Yeah, no, it's hard to come by. It grows on that tree and it's real high, so we turtles don't like climbing trees.
Yeah, we gotta get
Yeah,
going soon.
we have to save our friend. We washed up and we kind of need to save our friend. He was stabbed and he's poisoned, and it's not very good now.
Oh, hey, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Kaimana, you know the way, right? And she's like, yes, I know the way. And she's like, that's why I wanted to get them armor. You know how dangerous it is in there. And he's like, oh, well, I tell you what, little one, come here. And he like kind of like ushers you over.
Sure, yeah, I'll go up.
Yeah. He like ushers you over there, and he's like, I want you to hold on to this. If you get into real bad trouble, I want you to think real hard about this hut, okay? And he hands you a tiny little like conch. He's like, just blow into that with all your might. Close your eyes and think about this hut, okay?
Okay.
And he's like, don't worry, you'll be okay. It can be scary out there in the jungle, but I can see it. You're a resilient one.
We'll try. I just want to save my friend. I don't want more people to die.
Well, I'm sorry you've seen lost, kid, but
You have no idea.
hey, maybe when you come back, we'll teach you how to surf or something. That sounds fun,
Teach
right?
me how to what? You cut out there.
Teach you how to surf.
surf.
Sorry your parents are dead, but want to catch some sick waves?
Hey, it's pretty fun.
Totally tubular.
How much does the the weird armor plate they give me?
It's a AC of 14. I think you can have a maximum of up to +2 on your dex, though.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And there's no disadvantage on stealths. Okay, so you are now outfitted with some armor. You've been outfitted with this trident. Is there anything else you guys want to try to gather?
Yeah, it was a quick question. Would I have, with all this going down, would I have the 10 minutes to do the find familiar spell as a ritual?
Yeah, as they're getting like the armor fitted and everything, it takes a little bit of time. And you can see as the village is kind of going about its business around you, like parents like cover the eyes of the children and like shuffle them off into the distance.
I'm clothed now.
Don't you just have the thing on your head?
No. So the joke before was I took the towel and wiped myself off and handed back the towel. I did put the armor on. You gave me armor, right?
Oh, okay.
Studded leather.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So
He's just commando.
Even though you don't have any like undergarments or anything under it, you just got like this spotted studded leather. You look kind of like every video game like anime vixen. Like that's kind of the amount of protection that it looks like you have without anything underneath.
Jesus.
They gave me I'm using what they gave me.
Yep. But yeah, you go about your business here, and you make kind of awkward eye contact with like a small dwarven family as they shuffle off into another one of the huts there.
I'm summoning my companion. What? You've never seen a man do magic before?
They just continue about their business. You see like one of the villagers just like, oh, my word, and just like shuffles off. And you hear
At the end of all this commotion, though, a gazer appears, who is my familiar.
Okay, what is a gazer?
It's like a little mini beholder. I mean, it functions just the same as a familiar, though. They can't attack or anything.
Okay. So as you're sitting out this campfire, or like doing this ritual, a tiny beholder shows up, which certainly puts everyone at calm who's around you.
It also is really like slathering its teeth and like mimicking people. It's pretty funny.
Okay. So you summon this gazer, and you also see this beholder, Maeve, as you exit the hut.
I can't remember. Have you summoned this thing before?
This is the first time that I've been able to.
What's that? Is that the beast?
No, this is Uge. He is my spiritual companion.
Wow, you guys look just alike.
Well, that's like what they say. Sometimes an owner looks like their pet. And I would like to say he's rubbed a little bit off on me.
I'm sure he has. Okay. Are we ready to go get the fruit?
You remember you do have a cat with you.
Oh,
Before I forget
yes.
about
Is
the cat in hand.
What's the cat been doing? Has it just been following us, looking for food?
Just
Probably
licking
eating
its
some
butt.
fish off the Barbie.
Yeah, no,
Just
it's
licking its butt.
the cat is like still kind of damp and just like deeply.
Oh, the second
unpleasant.
Uge sees that cat, it's on.
Okay. So you see as the cat and the gazer, the mini beholder there, like all of a sudden like lock eyes in like an anime battle, as they like start circling one another, and for a moment the camera cuts to like a fast blurring background and like an in-depth shot of like the gazer in the distance and the cat in the forefront as they tee off, and you see lasers flying from the gazer's eyes, but what you guys actually see is just like a weird animal interaction where they're just circling one another.
You know what? I'm gonna pick up the cat and I'm gonna bring it back into the hut. Hey guys, can you watch this cat?
Oh, there's a cat! Like they are just freaking out. They've never seen a cat before. Well, that's not a person too.
No, it's not a person. This is my pet. I would like to come back to Fluffy when after we get the fruit.
Oh, we will protect Fluffy. Don't you worry. And you're gonna see like the chief just like picks up the cat and begins to like give it scritches under its chin and stuff like that. He's like, oh, they don't let me do this with the tabaxi. And he just like keeps scratching him under the chin.
Perfect. All right, the cat is in good hands.
All right. I hate to be the the grumpy Gus of the group, but we do kind of have a little bit of a time crunch, so...
Yeah, Kaimana, like, straightens up real quick, and, like, you can see she, like, limbers up. She's like, all right, brace yourselves, because the jungle is, as you've seen already, it can be a little bit tempestuous and a little bit tough to navigate. But if you stay close, we'll find our way through. But I do want to warn you, the further we get inside the jungle, the more dangerous it gets, okay? And she's looking especially over at you, Maeve. She's like, you can stay here if you'd like.
Nope, I want to help my friends.
Okay, you're a brave kid.
Here, I'll have Uge protect her. Uge, keep close.
Just kind of hovers in next to your shoulder.
Okay.
Eye never blinking.
Can you communicate with Uge?
I can communicate with Uge.
Is it like
I mean, he'd work like a regular familiar,
okay,
more or less.
but he can't, like, talk back to you or anything, right?
He can mimic. He can mimic simple speech. It is heard in any language. Anybody who hears it can tell it's an imitation with a successful wisdom check.
So Uge, like, kind of comes over your shoulder, Maeve, and is just, like, staring at you, unblinking, and you just hear it go, cat! As it just, like, makes weird eye contact with you.
Okay.
Okay.
It kind of like like flails over your shoulder.
And it's like drooling.
Yeah, I'm
now
gonna
at this
start
point.
to
It's
walk away
gross.
from it
man.
and be like, okay, let's go, and I'm gonna go up to
It follows.
Kiana.
It follows, never being farther away than like 5 or 10 feet.
Okay. As you guys exit the hut, the chief follows with you, and he brings his sword with him. And you can see he's like, well, if you guys need any assistance, like I said, think real hard about this hut and blow into that conch, okay?
Okay, will do.
And he like kind of sees you off on your way as Kaimana begins to like push on into the forest there.
Before we get too far ahead, I'm gonna like pull Maeve aside and tell her like, hey, whatever Kaimana does, you do exactly the same thing.
Exactly what? Same thing.
Okay.
Also send a picture of what the gazer looks like. It's pretty terrifying.
Oh, that's a gross.
Oh, yeah.
That's a gross
An uncle that looked
motherfucker.
like that.
I'm assuming we're gonna do the same marching order
Yeah,
as well.
I want to stay
before.
right behind Kaimana.
So as you guys proceed into the jungle, I'm gonna have you make survival checks again.
I'm gonna have my trident like on my back and the kukri in my hand right now.
We still have disadvantage though because we're exhausted because we never rested.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
A 5. 4 plus 1.
That is a 10 for me.
I crit fail.
Okay. So as you guys, like, literally as you push into the forest for the first time, you see, like, a little, like, tendril of braided vines beneath your feet. And as you, like, try to, like, step and navigate over them, you all, like, wind up stumbling through them and taking 2 points of piercing damage as the thorns, like, scrape up your legs and jab into
Ow.
your feet. Yeah. And Kaimana just looks
Son of a
back and she
bitch.
goes, like I said, it's not going to be pretty. And you push further on into the jungle. Everybody at this point roll perception for me.
Is this also a disadvantage? Is literally every check disadvantage?
Yep, for the time being.
Okay.
Nat 1.
Should I roll for Uge? Or does it matter?
Yeah, you can roll for Uge. And he won't be at disadvantage.
Well, it's not great.
Well, I got a 7.
I got an 8 for me. Uge got a 16.
Okay.
12 plus 4.
So you can see Uge kind of like he raises up into the air a little bit and starts like skirting just below like the canopy. Or I can't remember my jungle and forest layers. Like my earth science is failing me. But just underneath the branch line there, and you can see he keeps looking up. And as you gaze up in that general direction, you can see that the tree is kind of like your North Star, and that's what Kaimana is following right now. As you head towards that giant tree, and you can see as you guys start to get closer and closer to the tree, the little bits of unnatural bulk attached to the tree, where like you can see whole ships have been like sundered and forged into like a nest for the rocks. As you push forward into the forest, I'm going to have everybody roll a nature check for me. Not at disadvantage, we'll say. Just normal.
7.
Jesus fuck, dude.
15 plus 7, so 22.
Okay. So you push through the forest and you notice off in the distance a small swamp like area. It starts to get very like humid and dense forest or jungle vegetation in this area. And as you kind of approach the swamp, Kaimana puts her fist out, like kind of indicating like stop.
Yep. Stop.
And she asks you, like, I don't suppose any of you are familiar with gators, are you?
With what?
With gators.
Are we?
I've never seen
familiar
one.
with gators?
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, if we're lucky, that'll stay that way, but keep your eye on the waterline. If you see snouts or anything moving, you tell me, okay? She's looking specifically over at Maeve again.
Okay.
And as you now start to wade into the swamp,
Shit.
yeah, as you're pushing through, everybody roll perception for me one more time.
Disadvantage.
Son of a nutcracker.
13 for me.
I got a 9.
18 for the familiar.
I got a 9 as well.
Okay. Well, your gazer, we're gonna say, floats above the water, but you guys don't see any disturbances or anything on the water. Let me just roll. Actually, you know what? I think it's more fun to have somebody else do it. Would somebody like to roll a percentile for me?
I'll do it. Seven.
Okay. So you rolled 007?
Yep.
Okay. Just needed to know. Okay, so you as you are pushing through the swamp, you start to hear like a little bit of a commotion behind you as an alligator like from the bank slips into the swamp behind you. It doesn't seem to be too close just yet, but you definitely know it's there and it's large.
And in charge.
Do you guys want to continue on the clip that you're going, or are you going to try to like hurriedly get out of the swamp?
I would like to get out of the swamp.
Yeah, I think
as
we should maybe
quickly
hurry
as
up a little
possible.
bit.
I think
Okay,
yeah,
so
we should probably get out. Like, there's a gator.
Oh, okay, hurry up! And she starts to, at this point, she starts to swim through the swamp water instead of walking.
Oh.
But you can see, because of her trident racial abilities, she swims very quickly through the water. And she circles around to the back of the group and begins to like try to like push you guys forward.
Of course.
Yeah, to try to like keep you separated a little bit from the skater.
Okay.
You guys do manage to get out of the swamp without anything biting you, but you do get an uneasy presence as you push deeper and deeper into this jungle. You get the sense that you're like always being watched. Like there's always something slithering or weaving a web above you or just buzzing around you, and always like kind of a passive threat.
Can I make a
ahead.
perception check to try to look for that bird again? The one that they said was
Yeah.
good luck?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a 7 and a 16, so 8.
Actually, we'll take the higher roll on that.
So 17.
Yeah. So you start to get this uneasy feeling as you like hear cracking and like hooting of like primates and stuff in the tree lines. And as you like look up around you, you do catch another little flicker of that crimson. And you see a small, like at this point you can actually see it's got this bird is crimson. With like highlights of orange at the tips of its feathers, and it has like a very long, elegant tail feather that kind of seems to flow behind it. And as you push further and further into this forest, you start to, or into the jungle, I keep calling it a forest, you start to see the base or the trunk of this tree, and it seems to be no fewer than maybe like 300 feet in diameter. It is like gargantuan. And as you like push through the jungle line, you hear like a off from the other side of the tree.
Ooh. I say we investigate.
Okay.
Kayama, do you know if anyone else is out here?
Not if they're wise. Nobody from our village, certainly.
Is there another village?
Are there other villages?
Well, I wouldn't call them villages so much, but yeah, there are other people on this island.
The tail section people.
Yeah, Chris Evans, he's a real dick. No. Chris Evans, we love you. Please listen to our podcast.
Personal plea here, coming straight from Dice Popular.
Yeah. Don't want to start that Twitter beef just yet.
Beef Populi.
Beef Populi. She's like, yeah, no, there are other people on the island. And as you sort of peer around, carefully going around the other side of this tree here, you look and you can see what looks like half of that Imperial ship
Oh my
that you
God.
saw before has fallen from the treetops, and there's a lot of like debris and broken bits of boat around this area, and you see in the rubble a broken cage of some kind, like some sort of like a jail cell from the ship's hull. And in the cage you see, like, just breathing ever so softly, a figure, and its face is covered by like matted and like thin spindly black hair, and it seems to have like a gaunt presence as you approach.
I'm gonna push Maeve to the back of the group.
Yeah, is that where the coughing came from, it seems like? Or is the coughing a secondary thing, and this is another thing?
No, that seems to be where the coffee, or the coffee, yeah, the coughing.
The coffee.
Coffee.
You said it was, like, covered in fur. Is it just, like,
No, it just
human,
has
or-
long black spindly hair that's kind of like covering its face.
Oh.
Just like matted on
Interesting.
top of it. It seems to be laying there in the cage.
Wait, does it seem human?
No, it does. It seems humanoid.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like
Can
it
I-
was covered in
Can I poke
hair.
it with a stick?
So you walk up and you
I'm gonna stop her from doing that.
you poke it with a stick.
God damn
And
it.
at this point,
Oh my
God
what-
damn it, Colin! God damn
Do I
it!
know you?
What's happening?
I do know you. Where the hell am I?
you look down and you recognize the gaunt and creepy form of Bait.
Before you guys jump back in, can I tell
Yeah.
you guys about a crazy adventure that just happened to me? So, on this break, I decided to go to the bathroom, and I'm talking to my girlfriend as I head into the bathroom, and I'm just going to pee, and I stand there, and I notice there's a little spider on the wall. So I grab the toilet paper, I squish the spider, and I put it in the garbage on the other side of the toilet. A couple seconds later, I look in the toilet, it fell out of the toilet paper, and it's in the water, and I'm like halfway through peeing, and then it starts to climb up the inside
Why
of the
didn't you
bowl,
just
and I
pee on the
have
spider?
to panic flush mid-pee to kill the spider, and it's like
Right. But
because
instead
I thought it
of
was dead, and then it suddenly
mid-piss
started like
panic
racing up
flush,
the side of
just
the bowl,
mid-piss
and I had to
shift.
panic flush. I think panic is the operative word there. I didn't want to risk missing it and then it climbing up to the bowl where I couldn't get it. I was just like, no.
First
fuck it.
and
Nuclear
foremost,
option.
your mistake started
no way it's making
where
it out of
instead
there.
of
And
putting
it didn't.
the piece of paper in the toilet like you should have to begin with, you try to put it in the trash can. All right, that's why. Like
Okay,
you put
fair.
the fucking spider in
Okay.
the toilet paper. You put it in the toilet, and that way, if it gets out of the paper, it starts drowning immediately.
See, honestly, Colin, you're lucky that you weren't shitting, because if you did, the spider would just crawled up your ass.
Yep.
Inside of your butthole. Yeah. It would have made a web outside of your anus hairs.
I have
Just
Spider butt.
I would have been farting
I thought
parachutes
for a
all
second,
week.
I thought Pat was talking to his girlfriend, and I was like, "Damn,
No.
just laying down the fucking law." I was like, "Good lord," because I still had Colin muted from before, so it's just like shit.
I have a quick news alert here from Colin's girlfriend. He screamed like a little bitch when the spider started
No, I
crawling.
did.
Please say this
no,
out
I
loud
didn't.
on the podcast.
No, I didn't. Rebecca, get the fuck out of here. No, I didn't. I said, "Oh no, it's crawling!" And then I flushed. I didn't scream like a bitch. It was like a panic thing.
Thank you, Palumbo.
Yeah, that-
I love you.
That checks out.
God damn.
So I think the issue is tone. You said it that way, but I have 100% feeling it was more like, it's crawling.
One of those is much more more colony sounding.